We begin with Mozambique, where the situation is growing more volatile with each passing day. Cities across Mozambique remain on edge amid the ongoing protests over the disputed election results. In the latest, over 1,500 prisoners escaped from a high-security prison on Christmas Day. The prison is located in the capital city, Maputo. The police say that among those attempting to escape, 33 detainees were killed and 15 were wounded in clashes with the prison staff. They added that a search operation backed by the country's army is underway. It has led to the recapture of about 150 fugitives.
A group of subversive demonstrators approached the vicinity of the prison, making noise with their protests, demanding to release the prisoners serving their sentences there. They took them out of the cells, or out of that prison, about 1,534 inmates. The protesters took them out and left with them.
The police say that around 30 prisoners who escaped were linked to terror groups. The terror groups are behind attacks and unrest in the northern province of Cabo Delgado. The attacks have been ongoing for the past 7 years. The police also said that since prisoners have escaped, crime is expected to increase in the capital, Maputo.
What we expect after the escape of 1,534 inmates who committed major crimes in the country is that in the next 40 or 48 hours, there will be a dizzying increase in crime in Maputo. Increase of all types of crimes because they are specialists in all types of crimes. There will be an increase in robberies, assaults, rape of women, car theft, armed robberies, even kidnappings.
The mass prison break came as fresh protests and violence in Mozambique entered their third day. The new demonstrations started on Monday after the country's Constitutional Council gave a verdict on the recent elections. The top court upheld the victory of the ruling Frelimo party's candidate, Daniel Chapo, in the disputed October 9th elections. The confirmed results by the court put Daniel Chapo at the winning spot with 65% of the votes. Initial results by Mozambique's election commission said Chapo won with around 71%. The number has come down to 65, but the Frelimo party still won comfortably. Monday's court ruling extends the Frelimo party's 49-year rule in Mozambique. The main opposition candidate, Venancio Mondlane, received a revised total of 24.2% of the vote. The initial results said he had secured 20%. Mondlane has refused to accept the results. Instead, he claims to be the real winner of the October elections. Since Monday's court ruling, several protesters, mostly those who support Mondlane, took to the streets across Mozambique. They opposed the Frelimo party's victory and its extended rule in the country. Several banks, petrol pumps and public buildings have been ransacked and looted since Monday. Vehicles, including ambulances, have been set ablaze in anger over the controversial ruling from Mozambique's top court. The government says that at least 21 people, including 2 police officers, have been killed during this week's clashes. This has taken the death toll of the post-election violence to over 150. Opposition leader Mondlane has vowed to install himself as the president on January 15th. He has continued to call for demonstrations against the elections and against the court's decision. He says that the court legalized a fraud. The Frelimo party, on the other hand, has continued to deny any wrongdoing in the election. Mozambique has been on edge ever since protests erupted in late October. Several cities, ports, and even borders with neighboring countries have been affected by the demonstrations and the ensuing violence. The protests have also led to the disruption of some major business operations in the country. The International Monetary Fund has downgraded Mozambique's economic growth forecast, and this comes while the country is grappling with the devastating effects of Cyclone Chido. And the mayhem continues in Mozambique after the mass prison break on Christmas Day. How is the government going to tackle the worsening situation and the growing uncertainty in the country? To discuss this, we have with us Fernando Lima. He's a journalist and he's joining us live from Mozambique's capital, Maputo. Welcome to Firstpost. So, what can you tell us about the current situation on the ground? How's the mood among the people of Maputo and other parts of Mozambique?
Good afternoon. The situation is very complicated. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of tension around the country, not only in Maputo. In fact, in neighborhoods in Maputo and Matala, which is a neighboring city, citizens are forming their own militias in order to protect their houses and their assets in the neighborhoods. This is a kind of a new initiative from ordinary people trying to prevent that looters invade their resident areas in order to attack their own houses and their own possessions. On the other side, it seems that Mr. Venancio Mondlane, the opposition leader, have been quite horrified by the images is getting out of the chaos in mainly Maputo. He have said a couple hours ago that he don't want to take over a country in shambles. And so people should stop, stop, stop. And I'm quoting him to vandalize assets, premises, public institutions, private property, and calm should return back. Meaning, looting should stop. These are the late developments in the country, but I'm not sure if these developments and the statement of Mr. Mondan will stop the violence at this point, despite the situation had slightly improved today when you compare it in relation
So,
to Tuesday and Wednesday.
So this latest round of violence, it started after the Constitutional Council's verdict, the verdict that upheld the Frelimo party and Daniel Chapo's victory. And so what do you think about the verdict? What do you think about the victory and the claims made by Mondlane?
The Constitutional Council have two options: either to declare null the elections and order the repetition of the elections, so people would go to vote for a second time, or to go for this kind of more reformist option, which is they turn around 24 seats from Frelimo and gave those seats to the opposition. I think it's not enough because the level of fraud that different observer missions have seen and identified during the election day in early October were quite evident that 24 seats changing hands will not be enough to appease the opposition and to stop
So,
the potential violence. I would say that the violence have started late in October and have not stopped until now. So the recipe was in the air
so
after the Constitutional Council have declared those results, and that's what happened. And it's not the government is not showing any initiative to enter negotiations with Mr. Venancio Mondlane.
So now you say that 24 seats is not enough. By that, by the sounds of that, it means uncertainty and instability will continue. But what do you think lies ahead in the future for Mozambique?
I think it's important the president-elect to, in a very urgent manner, to enter dialogue with Mr. Venancio Mondlane, set up a political agreement in order what comes next, meaning in terms of election results, plus an transitional government or an inclusive government and a political platform. What should be the program of this government that should be open to different political sensibilities in the country? I think this could be a recipe to overcome the current violence. But it needs to be seen if the government and Frelimo candidate are willing to enter dialogue and negotiations with Mr. Venancio Mondlane at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lima. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you.